Today, we dive deep into one of the most chilling stories in true crime history, the Golden State Killer. Now, this isn't just some tale from the past. This is an ongoing narrative that has captivated and horrified people for decades. So, grab your popcorn because this is a wild ride. The man behind this notorious name, Joseph James DeAngelo. He's a 72-year-old who allegedly committed a staggering 12 murders and at least 50 rapes across California in the 70s and 80s. The Golden State, as you might know, got its nickname from the gold rush in the mid-18th century, not just for its sunny beaches and perfect weather. For years, police searched for this elusive predator, who became known by various names depending on his crimes. He was called the Visalia Ransacker, the East Area Rapist, the original Night Stalker, and even the Diamond Knot Killer. Why all these names? Because he had a signature way of operating that law enforcement quickly learned to recognize. Imagine this, a former cop turned criminal. DeAngelo would stalk his chosen neighborhoods, often selecting middle-class homes where women lived alone. He was meticulous. He would surveil his victims for weeks or months at a time. He'd sneak into their homes, empty their guns of bullets, even leave windows unlocked for easy access later. Sometimes, he'd call his victims just to get a sense of their daily routines, but always hung up before they could recognize his voice. When he finally struck, it was terrifying. He'd tie up his victims using shoelaces, and if a man was present, he'd bind the couple together, sometimes even placing dishes on the male victim's back with a chilling warning. If the dishes fell, they would die. All the while, he'd ransack their homes, stealing valuables and even items that held no monetary value. In the mid-70s, he was particularly active in Visalia. One tragic incident involved a journalism professor who was trying to protect his daughter when he encountered DeAngelo. The masked intruder shot him and fled, leaving a community in shock. As time went on, DeAngelo's crimes spread across California, from Rancho Cordova to Santa Barbara. His reign of terror continued until it suddenly stopped. Police speculated he had grown cautious as DNA testing became more advanced. But here's where it gets interesting. Fast forward to 2016. The police finally had a breakthrough. They offered a $50,000 reward and used DNA evidence collected from crime scenes to narrow down potential suspects. But they didn't just rely on standard police work. They utilized an online genealogy database. Can you believe that? They found distant relatives of DeAngelo through this service, leading them to him. In just 4 months, investigators had zeroed in on their suspect. They couldn't charge him for many of the crimes due to the statute of limitations, but they did charge him with 8 counts of murder. When he appeared in court, he barely uttered a word, just acknowledged who he was. His arrest sparked a conversation about other unsolved cases, including the infamous Zodiac Killer. Investigators believe that advances in DNA technology could lead to capturing him too. One investigator even suggested that if the Zodiac Killer is still alive, the same methods used to catch DeAngelo could potentially crack that case wide open. It's a chilling thought. So, what do you think? Is there hope for bringing the Zodiac Killer to justice? Or are law enforcement's tactics with DNA too invasive? This story isn't just about a killer. It's about the relentless pursuit of justice and the hope that one day, all the pieces will fall into place. The Golden State Killer saga reminds us that while darkness exists, the light of truth can shine through. And if you're intrigued by the psychology behind these crimes, consider diving into some forensic classes. There's so much more to learn about criminal behavior and what drives a person to commit such heinous acts. That's it for today. What do you think? Let us know in the comments.